Hi, I'm Susan Rutledge, and in this video, I'm going to take a look at Illustrator's new Generative Expand, which allows you to expand your vector art from the original boundaries that it was created in. This is going to be a game changer when it gets perfected. Right now, it's still in beta form, but if you download version 29.7.1, you're going to be able to play with it and use it with some moderate success. So let's take a look now and see what it can do. I can access the Generative Expand tool in a few different ways. First of all, I can come up to Object, down to Generative Expand, but notice it's grayed out here, and that's because I don't have anything selected on my artboard. I can also come up to Window and turn the contextual taskbar on, and this gives me a little bar underneath the artwork. Now, I'm still not seeing Generative Expand. Again, I have to select something on the artboard before that tool is selectable. Now I can select Generative Expand here, or I can come over to the Properties panel, and the third way is to just click on Generative Expand in the Quick Actions section. I'll click from the taskbar here, and when I do, Illustrator adds controls to all four sides and the four corners of my artboard. And I can drag from any one of these to increase the bounds of my artwork. I can drag horizontally, I can drag vertically, and I can even drag from one of the corners. The only thing I can't do is use a keyboard shortcut to undo those moves and start back over. And I do hope this is an improvement Illustrator will make as it continues to work on this tool. For now, I can either drag the control back manually, or I can press the back button and Illustrator moves a couple of steps back to where I started. Now, there are a couple of keyboard shortcuts we can use with Generative Expand. Let me go ahead and activate this again, and I'll hold down the Option key. Now, when I hold the Option key down and I drag from one of the sides, Illustrator is going to increase the bounds of the side I'm dragging from and equally from the opposite side of the artwork. And the same thing would hold true if I was dragging from the top. The bottom would increase at the same rate. Let's press back and click Generative Expand again. The other keyboard shortcut, which I can use, is to hold down the Option key and the Shift key. And then as I drag from any of the controls, Illustrator is going to add the same space all the way around on the four sides of the artwork. So you'll want to remember those keyboard shortcuts. Now let's come back here, because there may be times when you know exactly how much wider you want your artwork or how much taller. Let's say I needed this particular artwork to be 12 inches wide. Well, all I have to do is click Generative Expand and then come over to the Properties panel and type 12 inches in the width window and press the Return key. And by default, Illustrator adds the same amount of space on both sides of the artwork to make this entire piece 12 inches wide. Now, if I wanted the spacing to be added on just one side or the other, all I have to do is click on the layer and drag it where I want it. Now, once I've decided the size that I want for the expansion, whether I've used the controls to drag it larger or I've typed in a value, the next step is going to be the same for all of those methods. I'll come down to Generate and click here. Now, it takes just a few seconds depending upon the speed of your computer and the complexity of the design. But in a short while, Illustrator is going to come up with 3 different variations for you to choose from. The first one, Illustrator's actually added some little circles here. Let's look at the second variation. Here we've added some little squares, and the third variation has added some additional stripes. If I don't like one of these variations, all I have to do is come back and click Generate and give Illustrator one more shot at getting me something that I'm going to like in my project. And when it's finished, we're going to have 3 more variations to look at. Here's the first one, here's the second one, and here is the third one. I can also scroll from down here to look at the different variations. I kind of like that one. And I don't think that's one that I would use. I'll come back the other direction. I think I'm going to come back to this option right here. Now that I've settled on the variation I'm going to use, I want to call your attention to the taskbar. It no longer says Generative Expand, it now says Combine. Now, what is that all about? Well, to explain that, let me go to the Layers panel, and we see the generated object right here on this top layer. I can twirl this open and hide the part that's been added, or I can reveal it. But when I click on these various pieces, you can see that even though Illustrator has added some yellow to the left side, it isn't a solid piece with the yellow that is on the left side of that original artwork. The same goes for the star. You can see a piece of the stars added here, and then we have the original artwork here. Well, if I was going to use this in a project, I'd be better off if all of these pieces were joined together. And so that's where Combine comes in. I can click on Combine, and Illustrator gives me the option to either just go ahead and combine all these pieces, or I can combine and make a copy of them so that I have the original artwork if I decide I want to go back and make a change. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click Combine and make a copy. Now we see an additional layer has been created, and this is the merged layer. And this is the one that I'm going to use. I'm going to hide all the rest of the layers, and then we'll just deal with the merged layer. Now, this line that is going right through the artwork here is actually the border of the artboard. Let's go ahead and get rid of that distraction. I'll go up to Object, down to Artboards, and click on Fit to Selected Art. Now I have my merged layer, and it's sitting on top of an artboard that's exactly the same size. And you can see when I get the direct selection tool, the yellow is all one piece, the star is all one piece, my circle is one piece, and my orange square is one piece. And that's going to work better as I save this for a project. But not only that, I'm also able at this point to add strokes to these objects. So I'm going to go back over to the Properties panel and add a 2-point stroke. And I'm going to change the stroke corner to a beveled join. I think that's going to make it look nice and sharp. Now, the reason I would wait to add strokes to my objects is because Illustrator doesn't yet do a really good job of expanding artwork where there are strokes involved. So we complete everything, we combine the pieces, and then we add the stroke. Now let's move to something that's a little more complicated. This is a vector illustration, and it'll be interesting to see what Illustrator does with this. So we'll first select the artwork, and then I'm going to choose Generative Expand, and I'm going to increase just one side of the artwork, and then click on Generate. This may take longer than our previous example because there is more for Illustrator to have to deal with as it's expanding. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. And when it's finished, we see Illustrator has added in another piece of furniture. Let's see what the second variation is. And the third one is actually a little sloppier. I don't care for that. And I'm seeing this line right across here. And again, that's not on the artwork. That is on the artboard. So we'll come up to Object just to remove that distraction. fit that to my artboard. And let's come back to the second option, which I think I like the best so far, but I want to give Illustrator one more shot to see what it can come up with. And I'm going to go ahead and speed it up because in real time, this will take about 30 to 45 seconds. So here we have a taller piece of furniture and another piece of furniture. And again, it's trying to match the wood on the original piece, and it's not doing a super great job. And then here it has just added another picture. I think I'm going to come back to this design right here. I believe it's my favorite, and I'm going to select done. I could come in and tweak this a little bit, but I think you'll agree this is going to be a game changer once Illustrator perfects copying the artwork as it learns how to expand. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you'll enjoy playing around with this new tool in Adobe Illustrator. I believe with just a little more work, they're going to have it perfected to where we can use it seamlessly in our projects, and I look forward to that. I also want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my future tutorials, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.